That was directed at Michael Porter Jr. He was the guy last night in watching the game where he just looked lost at times. He got lost off the ball defensively. It led to Heat points. To me, it wasn't about effort. It was about a lack of communication, a lack of execution, and at times a lack of basketball intelligence. The biggest stretch of the game last night, early in the fourth quarter, Duncan Robinson gets hot. The Heat go on a run. They erase that 8-point deficit. That 8-point deficit, that was the biggest stretch of the game. Stephen A., we got the big board. We got the big board.
Caught fire, storming all the way back to tie the game in the third before outscoring the Nuggets in the fourth, 36-25, behind 10 points from Duncan Robinson. All hope wasn't lost, however, as Nuggets had a chance to send the game to overtime with a game-tying three, a shot which Murray took over Butler but missed from the rim, and ending the game and tying the series 1-1. Here's Nuggets coach Mike Malone on his team's effort.
Well, let's talk about effort. I mean, this is the NBA Finals, and we're talking about effort. That's a huge concern of mine. You know, we had guys out there that were just, whether feeling sorry for themselves for not making shots or thinking they can just turn it on or off. This is not the preseason. This is not the regular season. It's not round. This is the NBA Finals.
We're going to run the same action. Bam up top, right here. Vincent's going to go screen for Duncan Robinson. Down at the bottom of the screen, he's going to do the same exact thing here. All right? Look at this. Same two players. Back-to-back possessions. Didn't communicate the first time. Let's see what happens here. Duncan Robinson curls it. Easy layup. 5 points right there. 5 points. KCP fouled twice on three-pointers, one of which was on Kyle Lowry, who you got to know jumps forward on his jump shot. That's 6 points. Another play. Aaron Gordon closes out to Jimmy Butler in the corner. He goes for his shot fake from three. Let's go. Let's go. I want to show two plays here. This is just simple delay action. All right, so we got Bam at the top of the screen. Gabe Vincent's going to go screen for Duncan Robinson. So let's watch this materialize. So as he's here, look, we got like size. There's no mismatch here. Now, we are taught this. This is literally every team. When you go into the split action and delay, if the guy getting the screen curls to the basket, as Duncan Robinson is about to do right here, automatic switch. Let's see what happens. Bruce Brown goes with Robinson. Christian Brown doesn't recognize the switch. 3 points, wide open three from Gabe Vincent. It wasn't about the effort. It was communication, it was execution, and it was a lack of basketball intelligence. That's why the Denver Nuggets lost the game.
All I have to say is I really like the visual. Sorry, Stephen A., real quick. Just being Monday morning quarterback here, I like the visual way better on the big board. I'm just letting you know. That's a little tiny.
Well, that's why I mentioned that this should have happened the first time. So I'm glad that he got the big board, and it looks very very good.
Did you see it this time?
Props to you. It was very good, JJ Redick. It was very good.
Now go ahead, Stephen A. You're fine. Sorry to interrupt you. I just had to say that.
That's number one. But number two, JJ Redick, with all due respect, respectfully disagree with you because as you have educated us on many, many occasions, we ain't the coach of a team. If Mike Malone says it's effort, then damn it, it's effort. Okay? And that's what we're going to go with. Now, that's not to say that what you highlighted was wrong, but the fact of the matter is the coach brought out effort for a reason. And I'm going to sit up there and I'm going to throw out a word that I think you know the definition of it. You're being the brilliant man that you are. And I know KP knows the word as well. And I'm going to say it. I think the word arrogance comes into play. Now, I would know of this season that I believe has served a role in propelling them to this point. And so you get that done. Not only do you get it done, you sweep the Los Angeles Lakers. Then you transition to the NBA Finals. Now you're the hunted because you're the prohibitive favorite. Everybody outside of Kendrick Perkins practically believes you're going to win this series, if not literally. You got guys like Jay Williams saying they're going to get swept. The Miami Heat are going to get swept. They're not even going to win a game. There is something to be said about being that favorites, making sure you knock off a giant that everybody was looking at and saying, okay, Tinseltown, L.A., that's where everybody wants to be. It's LeBron James, it's Anthony Davis, and all of this other stuff. After beating Kevin, word that comes into play. And here's why, in all seriousness, fellas, when you went up against, I'm watching and I'm juxtaposing them against the Los Angeles Lakers compared to them against Miami. They beat the Lakers in game 1. Anthony Davis drops 40, but Jokic has a triple-double, 36, 21, and 14. He's absolutely phenomenal, particularly in the first half of that game. He puts on the show, and Mike Malone comes into the press conference lamenting how everybody's talking about what the Lakers need to do to win game 2, as opposed to pointing out what Denver did to win game 1. They clearly had a chip on their shoulders. Everybody was talking about Tinseltown. They knew people like myself and others were fantasizing about being in Tinseltown rather than Denver, Colorado. And it fed into this chip that they've had on there. We're the favorites. We know we could take these boys. And you might have let your foot off the gas. I think we saw Mike Malone going off the way that he did because he knows what his team is capable of. He knows they didn't play up to snuff. And in all likelihood, that didn't happen because they kind of took the Miami Heat for granted and they needed a wake-up call. That is my summation of what transpired last night to some degree. Not disagreeing with the plays that you pointed out because they actually happened. I'm just talking about the motivational stuff that he was speaking to. I think that he talked about those things because he recognized his team mentally had a tendency to do what they did last night, which was take their foot off the gas and get burned. Because
I love the tape breakdown because you also showed the value of cutting hard for your teammates. And I thought the Miami Heat did an excellent job of cutting hard. May not got the ball, but got somebody a wide open shot. And also, when you cut that hard and you're in there with Duncan Robinson, you have to pay attention because you do have that quick pitch and dribble handoff action with Bam and that guy that's popping back. That's number 2. Number 3, Michael Malone is calling out his team. But who's calling out Michael Malone? Oh, and Jamal Murray is not going, and you do have Jimmy Butler on them, but Jokic do drop 41. And they do start big, and now all of a sudden you taking Aaron Gordon out the game. Who are you going to rely on next? And I go back to the bubble, okay? When Michael Porter Jr. actually kind of called out Michael Malone about the offense and said how predictable it is, and I didn't agree with everything what Michael Porter Jr. was saying, but I did understand a little bit what he blocked. Because I do know this, if a guy feels involved offensively, he's going to give you everything and more on the defensive side of things. So while Mike Malone is sitting up here calling out his teammates, he got to look himself in the mirror as well. Because Eric Spoelstra came in and he had his game plan on point last night on how he wanted to dissect and do things on both ends of the floor. So Michael Malone, I get it. Effort was one thing, but I didn't see too many things Michael Malone did as well. And JJ, you talked about it, bringing Jamal Murray a little bit off the ball. Porter Jr. is 6'10". The only thing that we witness out of him is occasionally he get a cut back door for a dunk off of Jokic, or he's standing and being a spacer. And he's getting the ball in the late shot clock area where he's taking side step or step back 3-point shots, which is cool because he can actually shoot the rock. But how about utilizing him being 6'10", and at times he may have a smaller defender on him and saying, you know what?
It's really, really perplexing, disappointing.
Himself as well, not just his team.
Stephen A., I think this is just a classic example of projection. When you bring up the word arrogance, something doesn't go right, and you're like, oh, it's at least you have self-awareness. I love it, Stephen A.
Me?
I love it.
Okay, I got you.
I actually want to disagree with you. Perk talked earlier about the post-game quotes. I really believe you can learn a lot from reading the quotes in between games about a team's mindset, about things they want to clean up.
Totally true.
About potential adjustments.
Absolutely.
Everything that I saw coming out of the Denver Nuggets team. So I want to bring this back up on the effort front. If you watch that second quarter, if you watch the end of the first quarter through the second quarter, Christian Brown flying around, Bruce Brown flying around, Aaron Gordon, this was not an effort game at all to me. There was one guy who looked out of sorts last night. I brought him up. Perk brought him up. He looked out of sorts. You can't allow an off shooting night. I know, because I had these, right? You can't allow an off shooting night to affect your focus and your effort and being in the right spot defensively. And that was
Right.
a big problem in that second half. Michael Porter Jr. not having a good offensive night, got lost multiple times, one of which was the Jimmy
Right.
Butler when he stepped on the inbounds and threw it to Gabe Vincent for the three. Porter Jr., take away the desperation offensive rebound threes at the end of the game that got him back into it. That 10-minute stretch going against that zone, I don't think the Denver Nuggets have solved the zone. The Heat made the adjustment after game one. They basically played a 1-3-1 where they put somebody at the foul line to take that area away, and the Nuggets had no answer. There was bad offensive possessions in that fourth quarter.
A couple of things that I want to point out, and I'm going to be very, very serious here when I say this. You know, you can dissect it with a fine-tooth comb the way that y'all both did. And there's no disagreement, but two things incredibly important to bring that out. As both of you, I don't give a damn what I know, and I know my basketball, but I don't know basketball the way y'all know basketball.
Yeah.
It's my job. It's too many these damn people that come up here as reporters and pundits and columnists that sit on national television and radio and beyond and act like they know what actual part